So what's up, everybody? It's Mike and Derek.
Is it? I believe it's Derek D. Thank you, but
oh my God, it's got to be the D.
It's always the D. Come on, you know.
Starts with the D too, man. Doesn't
Would you
it?
tell Mike?
I think we need to do a little bit of a little pregame before this episode.
Yeah, we're doing a little pregame to let you guys know what's about to happen on this episode.
We have an amazing guest on. I mean, this is probably one of my all-time favorite. We've already recorded this podcast, so I'm talking in that past tense.
Yes.
It's one of my all-time favorite guests that we've ever had on.
Nice.
Talk about insightful. Rabia Chaudry from Undisclosed podcast. Mm-hmm. You might be aware of this little podcast out there called Serial.
Huge.
So if you don't,
podcast.
I'm sorry. Is Donald Trump here?
Let me tell you something, Mike. It's huge. I mean, if this podcast was a wall, it'd be gold. It'd be platinum. Huge. Fantastical.
So if you know about those two podcasts, then you know who Rabia is, and she really gave us a lot of her time, and it was great for her to talk. And she
enunciates like her voice is great.
Oh, her voice is just like butter.
You can listen to it all day.
I kind of want to play it back right now. So you're going to hear this episode. It's a little bit of a departure from a normal PBR. We were really kind of pressed into a time frame.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to find out what she thought about this case. So, check out this episode. And if you haven't listened to Serial or Undisclosed yet, you can get the links off of our site to their sites, and you got to listen. They're amazing podcasts.
Yeah, but let me tell you guys something real quick. I have not listened to Serial. I've been meaning to. Mike has, and he's listened to Undisclosed. And I was generally, as I was talking to Rabia, just asking questions, generally like interested. And even if you don't listen to Serial before this, listen to this podcast coming up right now, and I guarantee you're going to want to go back and listen to Serial.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just asking questions. It's really interesting. It's unfathomable that some of these things happen. People get convicted for things that they're completely innocent for.
Yeah, man. And I was just going to say, like, our show is all about the revolution, and we usually talk about the revolution of our guests. Well, you know what, man? Everybody, this is a revolution this is what it's all about. Like, this can't go on.
Yeah, it's crazy that lawyers and prosecutors literally just want to win, no matter what. They don't care if they send a totally innocent person to jail for the rest of their life, death penalty. It doesn't matter. Mm-mm. They just want to win for brownie points and more money. It's insane. Not all of them, of course. There's good ones out there, like Rabia. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I hear what you're saying.
There's also a splash of Arnold in the episode, so don't worry about it.
We had to drop some PBR comedy on it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the episode. A little bit of a departure, but truly one of the most fascinating episodes we've had. Thanks again, Rabia, and PBR Posse. Check it out. We hope you like it.
Here it comes.
Hi, my name is Rabia Chaudry. I'm a co-producer and co-host of the podcast Undisclosed, and right now you are listening to the PBR podcast.
Hey!
What's up, everybody? PBR Podcast, Mike Plano, Derek D. We're back at the Speakeasy Studio, and we have a very special guest on Skype tonight.
Yes, very special guest. This is a big deal.
And she's coming all the way from Baltimore, Maryland, in a closet somewhere.
Yeah, via Skype in a closet. That's right.
Rabia Chaudry from the Undisclosed Podcast. What's up? Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
My pleasure. Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks.
It's not often that we have someone on the podcast that's just so intelligent.
Yeah, can I say something?
You know what
Rabia, you're a lawyer, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm a lawyer.
Yes, you got that like lawyer perfect like diction down, like just like the way you pronounce words and stuff. It's almost perfect.
You know, I've learned to enunciate better, especially with a podcast, to be honest.
I object. I'm sorry.
Irrelevant. Strike.
Yeah. Strike that from the record, please.
Rabia, I'm a big fan of yours. I got turned on to you via Serial, as I would imagine a lot of people do. But I got to tell you something right now. Yep. I know you're a lawyer and all of these things, but your voice is like butter.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, you have it. It's not even like her enunciation. Like, Rabia, I have a speech impediment. I'm tongue-tied, and 60% of everything I say is almost accurate. Right?
I don't hear the impediment, though, to be honest.
Because I work really hard at enunciating all of my syllables.
Syllables. Yeah, syllables are tough. I've never liked my voice. I keep hearing this a lot in the last year. So it's kind of like almost a gift to me that suddenly people like my voice. It's not something I ever considered an asset, to be honest. So, but thanks. Appreciate it.
No, it's like, it's comforting. You have a very warm and smooth day. Like, you think?
Yeah, it's comforting, but it's very like astute, which is good.
I think I sound a bit authoritative, and that's probably years of lawyering. But like I'm from a South Asian background, and I don't know if you guys know anything about South Asia, but Bollywood is a big industry in South Asia.
Oh yeah,
and the perfect female voice in the Bollywood industry, high pitched voice. So I've always been considered to have like too much of a masculine sound for the South Asian community. Like nobody was buying it, nobody was liking it. So. Yay that I'm broken out of that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. That is wrong.
It is what it is.
I mean, as far as like radio voices go, did you know that you possessed, like, I think a lot of the success of your podcast is your voice.
Gosh, I don't think about. No, I don't. I have to disagree there. I mean, I think people might like my voice, but that podcast is. If I'm just sitting and talking, like I am like the Scooby-Doo of that podcast. I am really the third wheel. Colin and Susan are the brains. They bring the content. I mean, our recent episode on Christina Gutierrez, defense attorney.
Mm-hmm.
That was weeks and weeks of research by Colin. He wrote up like 20 odd pages for the script. So I like to think of myself kind of as like I'm almost the audience as we're going along. So I'm kind of like, what do you mean by that? Well, what really happened? But I don't know. I don't think people would just come back for the voice. I could be.
Well, you're the quarterback, and you do a great job at it. So people that might be tuning in, the PBR Posse, our listeners that might not know, Rabia, we really kind of connected through what everybody in the podcast realm knows, the show Serial, which was I guess you would chalk it up to be like a murder mystery, kind of crime-solving.
True story.
Yep.
Based on a gentleman named Adnan that was accused of a murder and who's now been serving a term in prison. He's been in jail for like 16-something years. And Rabia, after that amazingly successful podcast was finished, you piggybacked on that and you started Undisclosed, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're a lawyer, you're an attorney, but number two, you also have a very close connection to this case.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Adnan since he was 13 years old. He's my little brother's like best friend from high school, and he's been like a little brother to me as well. So for me, it's a very personal case. I'm the one who took the case to Sarah Koenig, who then created Serial, which was amazing and mind-blowing and beyond anything anybody could have ever imagined. But as Serial was ongoing, I started blogging. With every episode I would blog because there was always stuff I wanted to add. And then two other lawyers started blogging, Susan Simpson and Colin Miller. And then I didn't know them, but at some point we're like, we need to get a bigger audience for the content we're putting out. And that's how our podcast came about.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, like, wait, so you've known him for obviously your entire life, and I got to be honest, I didn't listen to Serial, but I know the story. I've been meaning to listen to it, and it's just kind of fascinating. Like, you hear all these, it just sounds. There's so many things that seem so corrupt and everything involved with this story that it's like.
Yeah.
Just from what I've heard, it's like, man.
I
imagine.
I'm the opposite of Derek. I listened to it fanatically. Like, I couldn't wait for that next episode to come out, and it captivated me. And the story was really like, I viewed it as like an ebb and flow of guilt and innocence. And I think like Sarah and Serial kind of made it that way on purpose because I mean, they really attacked it from an entertainment standpoint, right?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Sarah is a master storyteller, and if you're going to tell a story, to keep people engaged and to keep them coming back, you have to constantly keep them in that suspense. And I think, and I'm sure once Derek starts listening to it, if he does, he'll probably binge it in the next.
I know. That's all I've heard, and I feel bad that I have not.
What was it, like 9? It was 9 or 10 episodes.
12 actually.
12
episodes at the end, and she's really good. I mean, but for me, like, my agenda has always been different from her agenda. I'm like an advocate. I believe he's wrongfully convicted. The story was amazing. She brought it to the world, but in terms of exonerating him, we had to take it to another level.
And where is that at right now? I mean, you firmly believe he's innocent, right?
Absolutely. I would not be wasting years and years of my life on this if I didn't.
Absolutely. And where is that at right now? Where is it all at currently?
It's going well. See, before Serial launched, and this is actually as Sarah was doing she spent about a year investigating the case before the podcast aired. His post-conviction appeal, which is like the big appeal, actually had been denied during her investigation, had been denied. And for a lot of people, that's kind of the end of the road. We filed an appeal to that denial, and usually like in 99% of the cases, that appeal is denied. I mean, like it's pretty much the end. But because of Serial and because of everything that has been uncovered since Serial, the case came back to life. And so now it moved through the appeal. The appeal was granted, and then it went to the highest court in Maryland. They bumped it back down to the lower court because they want the testimony of a very important witness we've been trying to get in front of a judge for 16 years included. So, things are going very well for us. We really anticipate, I mean, at this point, honestly, I feel like he could be home in the next year.
That'd be amazing.
All right. There's so many things. There's so many things I want to talk about. Right? Like if Derek and I, we have our intern, Dennis the intern, who, basically he wanders around here and just causes havoc. Dennis!
And does nothing.
I don't even know where he is right now. But if he were murdered, right?
Yes.
And not to make light of the situation, but this is kind of a comedy podcast. But if he were murdered and Derek admitted to burying Dennis's body,
right, and
blamed it on me. Derek's going to jail, man. Like any way you stretch it out, Derek's going to jail, right?
I would think so.
I mean, I would hope so.
Well, I mean, is that not what Jay did?
Jay did. I mean, Jay did admit this over and over. I mean, the basis of his, value to the state as a state's witness was that, Adnan killed her. I didn't see him kill her, but I helped bury the body. But, I think, I'll be honest, at this point, I think the state knew that Jay was bullshitting. I think what really happened here was that the cops really believed Adnan did it. They couldn't figure out how or when he did it, but they just wanted to get their guy. And they railroaded Jay, and the reason his story kept changing over and over was because he didn't have a story. He had to keep changing it because the cops were like, well, it's not working for us. It's not working for us because now it's contradicting the cell phone record, all these things, and the only way Jay was going to keep giving them what they wanted was because they're like, you're not going to spend a day in jail. We promise you that. And he didn't.
And where is Jay now?
Oh, Jay is married with kids in California.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do you know Jay?
No, I don't. My younger brother has met him back in high school, at a party or something. But, a lot of the kids in the community knew him. I didn't know him. I mean, these kids are a lot young. Adnan is a lot younger than me. I was in law school when this happened. He was in high school, and Jay was part of that crowd, so I didn't know him.
And you grew up in Baltimore or in Maryland?
I grew up in Maryland. My dad worked for the U.S. government. We grew up all over the country because he worked for the Department of Agriculture.
Right.
But then we finally kind of settled down when I was in middle school, high school, out in the boonies in Maryland. And then I went to university. I went to college in Baltimore, and then my whole family ended up in Baltimore.
Oh wow! I mean, just to get back though, it's a podcast came out called Serial about this whole case, and then boom, she said something that usually 99% of the time gets denied. Was what's the word I'm looking for? Was allowed,
overturned.
Granted. It was granted, and the fact is that because
the power of media,
the power of entertainment, and yes, it is entertainment, but it's also a true story. And this is someone's life, and there's an innocent man, as a lot of people think, sitting in jail, and it seems to happen.
But the worst part about it, man, it does, Derek. It seems to happen a lot, and what this podcast, and specifically Undisclosed, has brought to light is it's exposed the government for the bullshit in which it's been doing. Like these cops, and Robbie, please, again, every 60% of what I say is bullshit, so correct me where I'm wrong. Yeah. But these cops that brought these charges against Adnan and put him in prison have since been essentially, I don't want to use the term convicted, but convicted, I'll say it, convicted of doing this to other people.
Yeah, I mean, so what's happened in a number of other cases, it's come out that a couple of the same detectives that worked in Adnan's case, they've been they've done some shady stuff in some other cases. Specifically, in one case, this guy, he was exonerated after 17 years, Sabin Burgess, and he filed a suit against the same detective saying these guys literally planted evidence. They bullied witnesses into making statements.
No bullying.
So I mean, cops can be shady. At the same time, there are great cops out there, but the system is stacked against the defendants. And I think that's what people have to understand is just because somebody's been arrested Like, just, you can't believe the hype. I mean, unless like there's some real serious physical proof. I mean, it's so easy to get screwed by the systems. And the prosecutors are right there with them.
And it's also easy to get screwed by the media because you're arrested for something. You could be completely innocent, but it's done.
You're already guilty.
You're guilty. You're guilty by by the masses, but just because they've read the story and they're like, oh, he's the word, without knowing details.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this idea of innocent until proven guilty is a legal fiction. It doesn't really exist.
All right, Rabia, here's my contention.
Okay.
I'm accused of murder of my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Okay. I get put in prison. I'm screaming from the mountaintops that I did not do it. I mean, I'm pulling every family card and political connection I have, every media connection, and I'm going public saying, I did not do this.
Right.
Why did Adnan not do that, or did he? And we just don't know.
Well, this is not, that works great for a movie, but that's not real life. Because in real life, what happened and what happened here, and happens often to people, is that, first of all, Adnan he was 17 years old. His lawyers were not allowed to see him. They pulled him out of his bed like at 5 a.m. and took him down to the station. After 6 or 7 hours of interrogation, they kept him in a room, and all he kept saying was, I have nothing to do with this. Like, I am innocent. That's all he kept saying to the detectives. And he really thought he was just going to go home. Like, this is not really happening. Like, this is some kind of screw up. I'm going to go home. And, when he finally was allowed to make a couple of calls, he talked to his family, he talked to a friend, he was crying, he was a little bit hysterical because he didn't know what's happening. I mean, he's 17, right? Now, this is not a family, by the way. To this day, if you haven't noticed yet, his family's very private. They're very they're shy of the public and the media. That's why, I'm the one who's constantly in everybody's face, and they're not. And they're really just very quiet people who just go about their lives. They don't have media connections. They don't have political connections. The second thing is this: when you get a lawyer, you know what your lawyer says to you? That your lawyer says to you, you don't say a effing thing to anybody. You don't talk to anybody. When Adnan got his attorney, Cristina Gutierrez, and this is like a woman with, 3 decades of criminal defense attorney, what she said to him not only was you're not allowed to talk to media, which lawyers never allow their clients to talk to media, but also she said, do not respond to anybody who contacts you. So he was getting letters and stuff from his friends from school. And he wouldn't write back because his lawyer's like, no, you were not allowed to talk to anybody. He wanted to testify in his self-defense at the trial. And she said, absolutely not. You're not going to testify. So you, at that point, if you're in that situation, you're going to do what your very seasoned, really expensive lawyer is telling you to do.
And but obviously that didn't really work for him, right? I mean,
it would have worked if she had done her job.
If she did it right.
He had an alibi witness. She never called the alibi witness. She never even contacted this girl. So it wasn't a complicated case. And the funny thing is, she actually kept saying that to him and the family. There's no evidence here. There's no physical evidence. The witness is a disaster. You're gonna win. You're gonna be fine. He wasn't so sure because once he was arrested, he didn't get bail, so he had to wait in jail the whole time for the trial. And other inmates give you the lowdown. They're other inmates were like, dude, once you are arrested and you're denied bail, it's really hard to get off on a charge like this. And so he wasn't so sure, but his lawyer, she just didn't do her job.
Wow. And he's now been in jail for how many years?
It'll be almost 17 years. It'll be 17 years in February.
Wow. Double his life when he went in.
Yep.
I mean, that is just absolutely crazy to me. Now, say he gets out, right? What happened? What is it just, okay, sorry, our bad, you're free? Or is there a huge friggin' lawsuit you assholes, I'm coming after you guys for putting me away for this long. I was just proven innocent. I'm suing everyone and anything. What happens? Does the state give him money? What happens?
So, this is something that should really piss people off because it really pisses me off. And that is this, that the state has no accountability. And in most cases like this, what happens is when the state is up against the wall, for example, let's say we're waiting for a ruling from the judge. We anticipate eventually one of the courts in Maryland will say he's getting a new trial. You guys are idiots. He's getting a new trial. But the day he's offered a new trial, I can guarantee the state's going to say, nope, never mind. We don't want to retry him, because they couldn't. If they did, they'd be destroyed at this point. We have destroyed their case. There's nothing there. Their own expert, their cell phone expert, just gave us an affidavit like a few weeks ago saying, no, that's not how the science works. They totally misrepresented it.
Wow.
So what would happen is this, and this happens all the time. It happened in the West Memphis 3 cases. They would all probably offer Adnan an Alfred plea. And that is a plea deal that says, time served, whatever you served is fine. We're going to let you go. You get to maintain your innocence while admitting that the state has enough evidence that you might be found guilty in a court of law. It's a really weird. It's another one of those weird.
Right. It's like they're taking the blame off of them, so you can't come at them with any legality.
And most of the times with those pleas, it will have the condition that he cannot sue anybody. Okay, and but the biggest tragedy of those pleas is because it's basically the state covering their butts. It's saying, okay, oops, we made a mistake. We're not going to pay for it, and we're not going to reopen this investigation.
So they can't. They won't even go after the real killer, Jay.
They won't. They won't do it. But the thing is, like, now I feel like we have like this real incredible public push behind this case, and I think if they were going to try to do that and just keep the case closed, that they would really be screwed. I think that people are going to demand accountability for Hayes' death, and they should.
100%. And man, that's just crazy to me. So wait, this, I have to listen.
You're getting mad.
But this guy Jay, is that?
Well, I wanted to ask Rabia.
Okay.
Rabia, assuming, I don't even know how to word this, but like, do you think Jay did it?
I don't know how to word this.
Can I tell you, all these years through all the different appeals, I always thought it was Jay, because I thought the rationale was like, listen, Jay describes in his statements what she looked like, what she was wearing.
Yeah. But what?
How could she not do it? But now,
what I beat myself up about was and I don't believe from listening to everything, both podcasts, that Adnan did it. I believe that he is innocent. And I always teeter towards Jay. I always think it's Jay. But I can't figure out for the life of me what Jay's motive would be.
Yeah. This is another thing that this is called the CSI effect. We always think that things happen like this on TV. There are first of all, there's lots of murders and lots of horrible things happen to people with no motive. There are random killings all the time. Sometimes people end up in the wrong place, wrong time. A fight gets out of control, something. But having said that, I don't think it's Jay at all. I think Jay was completely railroaded, and we know that because his lawyer at the time has now come forward, and she's speaking to our team, and she said that, listen, he was told, Jay was a 19-year-old black boy. She said he was told that if he did not basically take this deal, testify against Adnan, that he was going to be charged with the murder, and he would be charged in the county. The Baltimore County is a white county. Baltimore City is a black city, right? Like, that's what the juries look like. So the prosecutor, white guy, says to him, if you don't do this, I'm going to kick this to the county where it's going to be an all white jury, and I'm going to charge you with first-degree murder. And guess what? You're old enough for the death penalty. And his own lawyer is telling us this is what happened. And so,
But why admit to helping bury the body and make all that up? Why even connect yourself to the case at all?
Because they scared him. I mean, they told him that we think if you don't do this, we're going to charge you with it. You had Adnan's phone that day. You had his car that day. And the problem is, Jay comes from a family where, first of all, we're talking about Baltimore City in the 1990s, okay? It doesn't take a lot to lock up a young black male.
It's The Wire, right? I
mean, it is. And The Wire is not crazy. It's really based on reality. But also, Jay's family has a lot of interactions with the law. His father spent time in prison, his cousin, brother. I mean, there's some drug dealing happening out of his grandma's house. He knows that if they wanted to, they probably could have done it, and they probably could have found a way to frame him too, the way they did with none.
It's so crazy to me that police and prosecutors, whatever, what have you, the people in charge, in quotes, they just make up the story and go, this is the way it's gonna go, and this is what you have to do. When you're like, this is what happened, I'm telling you the truth, and it's like, no, that's not the way we gotta play it. You got to be you help bury the body. What?
Well, that's my point.
Seems to happen
if Jay,
all the time.
Regardless of white, black, or whatever race, right? If the cop sits down to you, Derek, a black cop sits down with you and says, I'm going to try you in a black community, you're being a white guy, reversing the script, right? And you had nothing at all to do with it, nothing. And says, I'm going to charge you with the murder. Go ahead, man, because you don't have any evidence. Because I had not. If you truly believe you had nothing to do with it, why on earth would you go along with this story? Robbie, do you really think like they can convict him? They would have convicted him with zero evidence?
The state can create evidence.
Corruption.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like the thing is, the way they created a witness against Adnan, they would have found somebody against Jay. And the thing is this happens all the time. Like as crazy as Adnan's story is, and it's really crazy because of the weird people. Like, his defense attorney was a weird person. Jay's crazy. The guy who found the body was a weirdo. Like there's so many weird characters. But the truth is, false confessions by witnesses who actually implicate themselves, even those happen all the time. And and the other thing is this. So Jay is a guy who can't afford a lawyer. If he could have afforded a lawyer, or if he knew well enough from the very first day the police contacted him to say, you can't talk to me again, I'm going to get my lawyer on you, that would have been the end of it. But he couldn't afford a lawyer, and he tried to contact the public defender's office a number of times, and they were not available to him because, the state was playing really dirty. The public defender will not represent you unless you're charged. So the state wouldn't charge him until the day they gave him the plea deal. And that day, guess what? They didn't get him a public defender. He was never, ever able to get his own lawyer.
Right.
The prosecutor found a lawyer and said, this is going to be your lawyer.
The prosecutor found a lawyer.
That happens either.
This is like a classic example of like, look at O.J. Simpson trial. Power, money, fame.
The glove don't fit.
And everyone knows he's guilty. He gets off. Here's a kid. No money, no fame, no political connections, none of that stuff. Goes to jail, and most people think he's innocent.
Robbie, this reminds me of like an issue I had with a friend of mine. His name's Arnold, and we had to there was a lederhosen incident, and we had Arnold actually helped me bury these lederhosens in the backyard. Arnold, do you remember this story?
No, I did not bury the lederhosen.
But you don't remember the lederhosen?
Nah, that was from my maid. Wait, what? I wasn't supposed to say that.
No, jeez, you can't admit it, Arnold.
No,
Robbie, you're talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you want to ask him his opinion on this case? He's a big fan.
Not really.
No, sorry, Robbie. I'm super innocent until proven guilty.
Arnold, I think you were proving. They found the hosen.
The hose?
And they found the kids too. I mean,
Oh, right. Once they found that, it was all over.
The hosen where?
Yeah, I mean, I'm commenting back on the issue of why would Jay. There's for your listeners, if you're interested, there's this guy called Darren Brown. He's out of the UK, and his stuff is on YouTube. But he does these things called these human experiments, and he does one called on false confessions. And what he does is it's amazing to watch because in 3 days he takes a guy over the course of a weekend, and within 3 days, this totally sweet, innocent guy, within 3 days he convinces him that he has committed a murder, and the guy literally confesses to a murder
That's crazy.
First never happened, right? Didn't happen. The whole story's fake, but he confesses to it. So, people do all kinds of crazy crap.
How is that? And you've heard of that, like prosecutors, you're in there, or the cops are in there, you're in the interrogation room for how long, you're delirious, you're tired. And people say, they'll admit to a crime that they didn't do. Like, what is this? Why? What's the psyche there? Like, I don't get it. That's crazy to me.
We might not be able to get it unless we're in the situation. I mean, for some people, like Jim Trainum, who's the detective that was on Serial, who kind of looked at the case, he changed the course of his career when he realized that he had totally fed all the information to a witness, and she basically accepted committing a crime that she had nothing to do with. They wore her down. They said, we're going to take away your kids. And finally she said, okay, fine, I did it, whatever, just let me, just let this be over. And then she ended up in prison. But then when he went back to review the interrogation tapes, he's like, oh my God, she actually admitted to stuff that didn't even happen, just because I kept feeding her information and pushing her. So, I mean, it happens. What is the psychology? I don't know. I'm not an expert there.
What assholes. What do they benefit from it? I mean,
closing cases.
Yeah, that's the goal, to close cases.
Wins and losses.
People clap. Oh, you have this many wins. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
And when the lawyers are done, they look at each other and they go, we won. Not they. Not they.
It's a big deal. It's very political. It's a big deal. You have to understand, even prosecutors, a lot of prosecutors in different counties around the country are elected. So it is, and a lot of times they'll use that office to move up. They'll run for mayor. They'll run for other things. I mean, the prosecutor in Adnan's case, Uric, he's run for political office a number of times. Thank God he's always lost because he's an idiot. But So these are very political things, and they also get bonuses for it. I mean, your career record, it matters to them.
So, Robbie, to kind of circle back a little bit, you said, and I can't believe I brushed over it, you said you don't think Jay did it. So if you don't think Jay did it, and you're so close to this case, do you have an opinion on who you think might have?
I don't know who did it, but I know who needs to be looked at very closely, and I would say that's Dawn, her actual boyfriend at the time.
Yeah, he gets so brushed over that I even forget.
Dawn or Don?
Don, who she worked with. This guy gets brushed over in the Serial podcast, and then in Undisclosed, you really kind of like break open the whole shell about like he wasn't at work where he was supposed to be at work, and people kind of like lied for him. And how come he wasn't looked at further?
I think what happened, and this, I mean, not just what I think it's documented what happened, is even before they found her body, they had actually started zoning in on Adnan as a suspect. And so they just had like this tunnel vision, and they just said it's him. They started pulling his records. They used the DEA to pull his cell phone records. Like they were really gonna get Adnan one way or the other. And so because of that, like they excluded everybody else. I mean, I'll give you an example. Forget Dawn. Her uncle, who's when she went missing, she was supposed to pick up her cousin, and the father of that cousin, her uncle, who I don't know if they lived together but they were very close. Anyhow, in her diary, she writes about how her uncle, I think slapped her or something. Like there was some altercation. It could have been nothing, but at least it merits a police, some kind of at least like a conversation, right? To talk to the uncle, be like, where were you, by the way, on that day? Like you hit her once before. What happened here? To explain that at least. And that didn't happen. She had a stepfather or it was like an ex-boyfriend of her mother's who lived in the state. Nobody ever talked to him. The police never did. They just did a really shoddy investigation because they were after one person. But when it comes to Dawn, I am not at all suggesting that he did anything to her. Like there's no reason. There's nothing tying him to the murder at this point, in the same way there's nothing tying Adnan to the murder. But if you have to reopen the investigation, you have to start with a guy who falsified his alibi, basically. He said he had worked and the timesheets turned out to be fake, and the police didn't talk to him. They couldn't get a hold of him till 1:30 that night. And so it's like, okay, well, just tell us where you were and maybe it's nothing. But I think that's a good place to start at least. But
where's Don now?
I'm not sure exactly what state he's living. He's somewhere on the East Coast. He's got a family as well.
This guy's got to be listening to this, and he's got to be, shitting his pants.
I mean, I just feel like it's...
If he's innocent, he shouldn't be. And I think if he's able to explain what happened at Lens Crafters, that's where he was working, that would be the end of it.
It's like they just don't cross every T's and dot every I. They just like, this is who we want. In our story, this is who we think did it, and we're going to make sure that's who gets convicted of doing it, even if they didn't. Just because, like, how do you live with yourself as a lawyer or like a prosecutor, and knowing that you're putting away someone who's innocent just because you want the merits?
That's a good question. And are you liable?
Yeah, it's going to come back at you at some point.
Where are these all? I know Gutierrez she's passed away.
Yeah.
The cops.
Oh, the cops are enjoying their retirement and pension, probably. I mean, like nothing has happened to them, and that's the biggest issue. And this is one thing. Once I'm kind of wrapped up with the Don thing, meaning once he's home, hopefully, because I have worked in advocacy for many years, so it's not just about his case; it's about some of these bigger issues that are attached to his case and tens of thousands of other wrongful convictions, and that's accountability. I mean, right now we're in a situation where you have cops literally killing people like on camera and not getting indicted for it.
Yeah.
So, there's no accountability in the system for prosecutors who willingly withhold evidence, like who deliberately, they know that this guy's innocent. They have the evidence and they sit on it and they bury it. I mean, there's so many cases like that. Those guys should go to jail, and they don't lose their license. Nothing happens to them. And I will tell you right now, just today, I learned about a case in Baltimore, and we're going to talk about this publicly in a couple of weeks, but I just learned about it today, in which a Baltimore prosecutor was told by a witness in a case that this guy you're prosecuting, that is not the killer. I saw somebody else kill this person. That he told this to the cops and the prosecutor, and they buried it. And it just came to light now that there was a witness who saw somebody else, kill whatever in this case, but they knew it. And they still went after the defendant, and they convicted him. And so that poor guy is like another innocent guy in prison. But hopefully, now that this story is, I mean, it's going to be public in a couple of weeks, and but the prosecutor will never pay for it.
That's crazy.
It's so insane to me. How did she die again? Was she strangled or what?
Hay was, I mean, according to the autopsy report, she had been strangled. She also had been, there were these really, really serious contusions on the side of her head in 2 places. So I think she might have been hit hard in 2 parts of her head. She might have been knocked out cold before she was strangled because there aren't any signs of struggle. Yeah. It's hard. Her body wasn't found for about, I think, 4 to 6 weeks after she disappeared. About a month after she disappeared is when they found her body.
Jeez. That's so insane.
How many does the Undisclosed podcast go until Adnan is out, or is it something that you have a endpoint for?
No, there's no way. I mean, we're not going to keep dragging this on and on. We're going to go through the material we have. I mean, part of the complication is though, new things keep coming up, new things we don't anticipate. But we will probably wrap up by the end of this year. I mean, somewhere in mid-December. So I think we'll be done with. But because we'll be done with Adnan's case, but because there are so many others who have come forward and said, listen, could you look at this case? Could you look at this case? We probably will be doing more seasons of Undisclosed on other wrongful convictions.
Will you piggyback on the next Serial podcast, or will you?
That would be awful. We wouldn't do that. No, because I don't think Sarah is doing another wrongful conviction. What I've heard is she's working on a totally different kind of story. But so no, we would look at other wrongful convictions. And in the meantime, as Adnan's case is progressing, we would, just do updates and stuff.
Has there been anything shocking? Are people coming out of the woodwork with the popularity of this? And are you getting a lot of, I don't know, red herrings?
I mean, not really. People have not coming out of the woodwork, but people have come forward. For example, I told you, the attorney who represented this witness has come forward and said, this is what happened. He was railroaded. The cell phone expert who is, with the state, who now is kind of working with our legal defense, came forward. We've had a number of there's a couple other things too that we haven't gone public with yet because, we have to also be careful. This is an active case and we have to kind of keep things in a wrap. But this is kind of a crowdsourced investigation. It's really interesting. There's another podcast called the Truth and Justice podcast, which is, piggybacking on both Serial and Undisclosed. And this guy, Bob Ruff, is doing his own investigation. And he's the one who was able to confirm that Dawn's, timesheets were fake, falsified. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened because of the power of the crowd. So, we've had people. Here's another one. So apparently there was a Crime Stoppers tip that came in for this case. So somebody had called in a tip to the police, which never had been reported to us before. The defense didn't know about it. And this person had been paid for their tip. So it means they had something to offer, but nobody knows who or what.
Right. That you kind of allude that was Jay, no?
Well, we think it was Jay just because of some timings of different things. But the thing is, we wouldn't even know that tip happened except for the fact that there was a person on Reddit who was able to do an investigation to find the right person in Crime Stoppers who then confirmed the information for us, So, yeah, the people who have come forward have been very helpful. Red herrings, you can kind of determine what's right and what's bunk. I mean, it doesn't take a lot.
So has anyone tried to reach out to Don? Has he declined comment, or is he someone who's ready to cooperate and talk?
Oh no! I mean, the same guy, Bob Ruff, who this other investigator who's working and doing the Truth and Justice podcast. He did. He contacted Dawn. And so Dawn's mother was his manager at the store, and his stepmom.
Oh, Jesus! His family are the ones presenting these timesheets.
Yeah, they were the ones who confirmed it for the and to falsify the timesheet. What he learned from other managers at LensCrafters is that only his mother could have done it. So if this is what happened, then basically the whole family, at least his mother's, because it was 2 women who were either married or living together at the time, knew about it. Knew that it doesn't necessarily mean they think he did anything or he actually did, but they at least knew that he was not being honest about where he was that day. And so Bob has reached out to them, and one of them said to him, if you contact me again, I'm going to report you for harassment. The other one, I think, didn't respond. And then Don himself said, you have the wrong person. But it wasn't. It was absolutely the right person he had sent the message to. So they're kind of, circling the wagons, and I think they're just going to see if this all dies down.
Could Don be tried if they found evidence at this point? If Adnan gets out, signs all those papers, says he won't go against the state, could they actually go after Don or Jay?
It's unlikely they would, because, for them to do that would mean that they got it wrong with Adnan. And this is like part of the whole problem, is that they have to first admit that we got it wrong. So I think the only way they would do that is if they were so publicly humiliated and something so obvious came forward tying somebody else to the murder, then that they would have to charge that person. There were DNA samples that were taken from her body, and for some reason the prosecutor put the words "hold the test" on the record, and so it never got tested. So if that stuff gets tested and it turns out to be they find something from it, maybe that would force the state. But the easiest thing for the state to do is say, we're giving you a plea, we're done, this whole case is closed. Right,
because if they find evidence to go after Don, then Adnan could sue the state, and they're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Adnan doesn't need this. I think when Adnan gets out, he will have a speaking tour and a book deal and a movie deal. He'll be fine.
I was actually going to say that. There's definitely a movie deal in this, and I know you got to go soon, but how often do you talk to Adnan? Do you talk to him pretty often?
Yeah, about once a week. I mean, there are times that I'll miss his call sometimes because the way the phone system is routed, they have some weird routing system. So sometimes you'll get a call from Texas or, I've gotten international call, and it's actually him, but the system doesn't show that it's coming from the prison. So I'll miss it. But usually about once a week we talk.
He's aware of the podcast? Does he get to listen?
Oh, he can't listen. He's seen the transcripts. It's not the same, obviously. I mean, basically, when he gets out, maybe he'll listen to Serial, or maybe he'll just be like, I can't deal with this anymore. But he knows because, he's aware. He also gets a ton of mail. He has gotten thousands and thousands and thousands of letters, photographs. A lot of ladies are very interested in him. So
he's a superstar, and he doesn't even really when he gets out.
He's a superstar, and he gets some inappropriate pictures too once in a while. So
I'm not surprised.
How is he? If you had to break
What's
it down,
his spirits
spirits. They're good right now, and that's mostly because the appeal is moving forward, and also he's just happy that there is evidence coming forward showing how he was deliberately screwed. It wasn't. It wasn't I think Dana had said it in Serial, oh, he must be the most unlucky person. No, this is what happens in all wrongful convictions. People are screwed by every part of the system. So he's good. He's hopeful, but, we also have to temper it because there were other times we were hopeful in his case and nothing happened. But this is pretty much the best shot he will ever have.
I really believe he's innocent. I hope he gets off. I hate the corruption in politics. It drives me insane. Yeah. And people to do this, man. I want to see the real people go down.
It's crazy that the prosecutors and all these just for brownie points, just for reputation. That's crazy.
I think it's going to require, and I really hope to encourage it at some point, every state has to pass some state level legislation saying that if you willfully withhold evidence, you will lose your law license. If we are found to do that, committing a Brady violation, that's what it's called, you will lose your law license. If you are shown as a cop to do XYZ, you're going to lose your job and maybe end up in prison, But now nothing happens. Nothing happens to anyone.
There's a lot of stuff going on social media where people are filming police, like we talked about. It's harder now, and I feel if this happened now, if this crime happened right now, right? They find this body or the Best Buy, or they could track everything back via camera and cellular device. He'd be completely exonerated.
They could then too. Look, you're talking about this was not 1929. It's freaking 1999, and for the police to say, oh yeah, somebody made a phone call from Best Buy, but we have no records of that call. We don't even have records of a payphone actually being there. It was willful. And any decent lawyer could have just driven past the Best Buy and been like, bitches, there's there's nothing here. There's no payphone at the damn Best Buy. It's willful. So, yeah, but today you're right. Social media captures it captures everywhere we are, but also our phones have GPS tracking devices. So we're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man.
It's a game we like to play. It's called Top or Bottom. I'm going to read you two terms. It's based on you. If these two things were in a relationship, which one will be on the top? And which one will be the bottom? We'll round table it. We'll start with you. Number one, top or bottom, cooking or kittens?
Kittens.
What, you're a big cat lover and you love to cook? Is that what it's all about?
I don't love to cook. I have to, but I love cats.
How many cats do you have?
I only have one right now, but I've had a lot of cats over the years.
Oh, so you're not a cat lady. You just like cats.
I post a lot of pictures of Mr. Beans.
Mr. Beans!
Beautiful. It's gorgeous. Look him up.
Derek D. Does he have his own Twitter account?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, he doesn't, but you can hashtag Mr. Beans, and he does have a Facebook page, though.
Nice.
That's great.
I go cooking on top, kittens on the bottom. Kittens are cute, but yeah, cooking.
I would even kittens or cats. I put them both on.
Yeah.
Top or bottom, number two, police corruption or bad lawyering?
Bad lawyering. Yeah. I mean, because, you can't account for all... I mean, like, you're never going to account for every police officer out there, but the lawyer's job is to keep all that shit in place, and you're getting paid for it. And so, I mean, somebody's life somebody has put their life in your hands. To me, that should fix the system if a lawyer knows how to do their job right.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Top or bottom, number three, cereal or undisclosed?
Oh, come on. Come on. That's not fair.
That's tough, right?
I think they sit next to each other holding hands. Yeah.
That's not in the rules.
You couldn't have one or the other. Okay, well, then I'd have to put... Shoot. I can't. Like, you can't have one without the other. Because cereal... We wouldn't have Undisclosed without cereal, but without Undisclosed, Adnan wouldn't be exonerated. But I'll go with cereal on top because that's what started the ball rolling.
Oh, I like that.
It makes sense.
That's a good way to round about it. I love them both. I'm addicted. Like, I'm completely addicted.
Awesome.
Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
They got to be out on time though. Like when I wake up on Monday morning, I want my Undisclosed. Come on, man, you got to knock it off. PBR is always up at 12 a.m.
We just, you guys are good then because we aim for 6 o'clock on Mondays and sometimes it doesn't happen. We used to stress. Now we're like, well, it'll come out when it comes out. I mean, there's always technical issues. We're a bunch of amateurs.
Rabia, consistency is the key. And if you need some help, you just let us know. Top or bottom, number four, J or OJ?
Shoot. OJ. OJ is mastermind evil.
He is,
Jay,
right?
And when I say top for that, I mean top as in who is like
the worst,
definitely shady,
Yeah.
who's definitely guilty. That's OJ.
I usually do top. Sometimes on the show, I'll do top or bottom. I'll throw in like something or a bucket of shit. I should have probably did Jay or a bucket of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Top or bottom, last one, number five, and then we'll let you go. Split the moon or undisclosed, right? Is that how you wanted to read it? My producer's nodding at me like, yeah, that's...
Okay. Oh, definitely undisclosed. I mean, shoot, our audience is huge, I think like 15 people read my blog, so...
Your podcast is killing it, though, and it's amazing. You're doing such a good job at it.
Thanks so much.
And I'm looking forward to the end of it. So in the year 2050, real quick, you're sitting back, right? This show is all about the revolution of our guest, which is you. What does your industry look like in the year 2050? Does it change?
I don't even know what my industry is anymore. I mean, I don't think of myself as a podcaster, right? I'm just doing that. I don't know.
It's a media outlet.
Yeah, okay, I'll say this. I'll if I have to think of my industry, it would be like as advocacy. So yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be revolutionized specifically because of social media, because of podcasting, because of people being able to take stories directly to audience without media filters. And I also think that's causing a lot of civil unrest in a lot of parts of the world because people are able to do that. I don't know what that's going to look like on this side of the hemisphere, though.
It's pretty crazy, and it'll be an interesting ride to see it.
Yeah, where it's all going.
Yeah.
Rabia, thank you so much for coming out. On the way out, is there anything you'd like to plug? Where can we find you? Where can the PBR Posse stalk you on social media?
Oh, well, you can find us on Twitter. Our handle is Undisclosed Pod. We are also we have a Facebook page, and then our website is undisclosed-podcast.com. Every Monday, there's a new episode. It's also up on Audio Boom.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I really had fun, actually.
I'm glad you. It was interesting talking to you.
Hopefully, when this is all said and done and Adnan is a free man, we'll do it again.
Would love to do it.